According to the Cambridge English Dictionary, trauma researchers emphasize the resilience of the human psyche. Resilience meaning the ability to be happy, healthy, or successful again after something difficult or bad has happened, or the ability of a substance to return to its usual shape after being bent, stretched, or pressed. Welcome to the Arose from Rubble podcast, where there's no good, bad, right or wrong opinion, and no discussion is off limits. Arose from Rubble is primarily about resilience in the absence of perfection, the knowledge we gain and apply on our journey to self-actualization, physically, mentally, and most importantly, spiritually. Join and explore with me as we journey toward our higher selves. We'll explore spirituality, occult knowledge, practical metaphysics, universal law, self-actualization, relationships, life, and love. And I'm your host, Arose. Greetings, gods and goddesses, and welcome to the Arose from Rubble podcast. I'm your host, Arose. Thank you for taking time out to listen today. This is the introduction episode of the podcast. It has been said that the revolution will not be televised. So with that being said, I'm here to let you know, if you are not already aware, that we are in the midst of the Great Awakening. And what that means is, if you are not aware, is that it's time to raise the standard of being on the planet. From our associations, the conversations we having or not having, to the way we showing up in our daily lives, and most importantly, the way that we loving each other, or the lack thereof. The veil of darkness is being revealed right now, both publicly and privately. I know I've been experiencing this. I've lost a lot of relationships the last couple years, particularly this year. I lost several relationships, and well, I guess you could say lost. They just no longer exist in my reality, and I'm okay with that. I've had to make choices for myself. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's dealing with that. But it's all in alignment with where we moving planetarily. You know, if you're aware of astrology, if you're not, you should be, because it's an intricate part of this physical experience. I know that a lot of us have been programmed from a religious perspective that astrology is demonic, or you're not supposed to know the future. The only thing I'm going to say is, if everything that's going on around you right now, with all of this stuff that everybody believes to be true, being exposed and disclosed, is not making you question everything that you was told, then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Only thing I can tell you, and the only thing that I'm here to tell you, is about my experience and what I've learned, and how I've been able to evolve to a more conscious perspective and a more conscious awareness of myself first, then other people, and my place in existence as far as it's associated with being in this physical reality. You're going to hear me moving forward refer to it as 3D reality, physical reality, the matrix. It's a lot of keywords, but that's just what it is. But that's what I'm speaking of when those words come up. But more than anything, this introduction episode is just to make you aware of the purpose of the podcast, where it's going, and all of it is based on my observation as far as where we are as a collective. Like I said, a lot has been revealed publicly as well as privately. as far as the programs, the dark forces that we are up against. Even the Bible tells you that we fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. So we at war right now, and it's a spiritual war, and the battlefield is the mind. So if you don't have the mental fortitude, you not only will not be able to raise your level of consciousness, but we got to be able to sustain what's to come, because things are likely going to get worse before they get better. And I don't want to say that that's a good or a bad thing, because some of the worst things that ever happened to me turned out to be the best thing for me. Hence why in my opening I say there's no good or bad or right or wrong opinion, because I don't necessarily subscribe to anything being good or bad or right or wrong, because that's subjective. A lot of people say, well, some things just wrong. Something, it depends on who you are, where you live, and your state of awareness. So it may be wrong for you, and you could say that for you. I just don't, because I understand that life is full of contradictions, and I understand the necessity of being willing to contradict yourself. Because if you're not, then you probably are not growing. In order to grow, you got to realize that what you once thought was true, it may not be true. And in order to push forward, you got to take that L and be able to keep it moving. My point is that the systems around us are breaking down, and we can see that, family. All of these false constructs that have subjugated us as a whole are descending right before our eyes. The political system, the financial system, the healthcare system, the education system, and all the subsidiaries of these systems, the media, entertainment, sports, all of it. Like Mother Nature is not playing. She is not leaving a stone unturned. And the God of the Most High of the balanced universe is not playing either. We got to get up to speed. With that being said, right now we shifting into higher levels of consciousness. That's what the age of Aquarius is about versus the age of Pisces. The age of Pisces is about the false constructs. It's about illusions and delusion. And the age of Aquarius is about advancement, technological advancement, consciousness advancement, and revolutionary change. We got to be prepared, because we are in the midst of the shift. And for those of us that are aware and desire to ascend, then we will soon bear witness to a new timeline. So if you've been in preparation and you've been able to hold your frequency and your vibration consistently, I'm sure your reality is looking much different, especially in resonance with the Schumann resonance, which is the earth frequency. If that's something you into, then you understand what I'm saying. If not, then it's something that you should get in tune with. But my position in this shift is I consider myself a light worker. I'm here to raise the vibration on the planet with being a representation of love, by sharing my information, sharing my understanding, all of which I receive from the universe. I have a direct connection with the universe, just as we all do. The difference may be that I'm aware now, and I wasn't always, so I'm not judging. However, I'm here to offer my perspective, the tools that I've used, books that I've read, and my experience to help all of us ascend and get to another level. And that's an ongoing thing. It is no there. When we get there, it's time to leave. So it is no there. Even after we gone, our soul is eternal. So this is about healing the wounds of our ancestors and our own personal wounds, to change the structure of our DNA so our children's children that may come back through us won't have to carry the weight of the burdens that we've had to carry for the past generations. That spell has been broken and the time is up. So it's time for us to create something new. And I want to be a part of that. And I want as many of us to be a part of that as possible. So that's why I created this podcast, so we could create a community and facilitate conversations around elevating in our awareness and our consciousness and showing up as a light and something of higher vibrational nature, something grounded in love, unconditional love and respect and understanding, even if we disagree. But just a place where we could get together to have elevated evolutionary conversations, to facilitate the actual change and be a part of the solution rather than the problem. You know, I don't know what you guys are experiencing, but a lot of the things that I'm seeing these days are just further facilitating the division. And that's the goal. You know, if you don't know what the Hungarian dialectic is, it's problem, reaction, solution. We have to understand that a lot of the things that we dealing with right now has been planned historically. We all been under a spell. We all been programmed from this language that we use against ourselves a lot of times, which is why it's called spelling, because that's what we're doing. We have to unlearn and relearn. So we are here, and I'm here, so we can have those types of conversations. So we can create a community, because we need each other. We need each other now. And with where things are going, with the likelihood of things getting worse before they get better, we are really about to need each other. And that's going to take mental, physical, and spiritual strength. I'm here to find like-minded individuals, or at least open-minded individuals that would like to become of like minds. If you vibing with what I'm saying, if you picking up what I'm putting down, then this may be the place for you. If you not, then it's okay. So everything we experiencing right now in society is a direct reflection of our mindset as a collective. It's a direct reflection of the programming. It's up to us to switch the program. So in order for us to fix anything, we're going to first have to acknowledge and accept what the problems are before we could apply any solution. And we're going to have to be what we are looking for. So that's what I aspire to do and be. I aspire to be the woman that I needed when I was growing up. I aspire to be to you what I want you to be to me. And if we can't vibe on that level, then we don't need each other's presence. Like that's the way I'm moving these days, in a reciprocal fashion. I'm not matching energy though, because I ain't letting nothing shake my frequency. Nothing shaking this vibration. And I get all well that I'm in control of my reality. And I'm just trying to share that state of awareness. I've been on my spiritual journey since I was about 23. And I've had to die and come back many times, not in the physical sense, but definitely in the spiritual sense and in the mental sense. I've had to change my thought patterns and my behaviors, all of that. And it was dark a lot of those times. And I know we don't want to go there, but it's necessary for you to understand your light and your darkness, because we are both and we need both, contrary to what we believe or what we've been taught. Sometimes it's necessary. I'm of the mind that we want to function from the perspective of the higher self most of the time. But it might be a time when you got to reach down there in the darkness. When that fight or flight kick in, you might need that negative energy. You know, it's a time for everything. If you're a Christian, even the Bible tells you that, right? It's a time to laugh. It's a time to cry. It's a time to live. It's a time to die. It's a time to reap. It's a time to sow. It's a time to pluck up that which was planted. And it's also a time to kill. We need that light and that darkness. What we here to learn and to discuss is the understanding of those dualities. And that'll come in our understanding of metaphysics, universal laws and principles, occult knowledge, and occult just means hidden. We're going to understand esoteric knowledge, which just means knowledge that only a few or a small group of people understands. We want to turn that small group into a larger group. so we can have a better understanding of ourselves as we relate to our existence in this universe, because we are a universe within ourselves. And we want to understand metaphysics. We want to understand quantum physics and how that relates. Like, that's magic. Basically, it's magic when you don't understand that you magical. When you don't understand that you all powerful, then you believe in something like magic. But magic should be how we moving and how we living every day. That should be something that you call forth from within yourself. Those are the things that we here to master. And the reason I created this podcast is because I've been alarmed in my spirit as far as where we are as a collective. You know, it's a lot of souls being sold out here. And I'm not talking about just in the music industry. I'm talking about anything we do that goes against nature, that goes against our natural nature to nurture. That's selling an aspect of your soul. So we got to get in order and get in alignment with our God self, with our higher self. And we got to quit with the division. We got to quit perpetuating the division with these mundane conversations, with the negativity. If we stand up, the game gonna fall off the table. All we got to do is stand up. And the more the merrier. That's why we here. Right now we damaged. Physically, spiritually, and mentally. And we need to heal. You know, it's going to first start in our individual lives. And then we'll be able to see the change in the collective. But we got to get our individual houses in order first. And then it'll spill over into the collective awareness. And before you know it, we'll be living in the world that we consciously create. Like, since I've been on this journey, especially in this particular place where I know who I am, that means my strengths and my weaknesses, and I'm able to check myself. I'm able to hold my position. I'm able to hold my vibration. I'm able to create my own happiness rather than looking for something outside of me to make me happy. Like, I heard that all my life. You're responsible for making yourself happy. It was so much easier said than done. You know, the days of when somebody could do something to just upset your whole day. I don't live like that anymore. You do you. Because I'm in my own world. And I understand that that's what it is. It's your world and everybody else is just in it. And that's how we function. That's not from a place of selfishness. That's from a place of self-awareness, where you understand your position, and anything that's not within your frequency can't even exist within your experience. That's the type of self-control that we want to have. That's the type of self-control that's going to be facilitated through our conversations, through our community. So we can experience heaven on earth. Heaven is a state of awareness, just as God is. Just as the devil is. It's a consciousness. It's not a physical place. And contrary to what we've been taught, we supposed to create heaven on earth. And I don't know about you guys, but that's why I'm moving towards creating my piece of heaven right here on earth. And leaving a legacy for my children's 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 children. And that includes this. I think everybody should have a podcast. Like, how beautiful would it be to be able to hear from your ancestors right about now? To get a better understanding about why you are the way that you are. It has purpose that's far beyond me. And I think when we understand that our position should always be from a place that's far beyond us, that's the response to selfishness. Because selfishness is the root of most of the division that we experiencing right now amongst each other. The goal is just to create a new enlightened state of awareness, which is going to be necessary for us to survive in this new age. because it's about love. The earth is restoring itself. We've been unhealthy long enough. And Mother Earth, and I say mother because the earth is just feminine energy. That's the universal principle. I don't have any control over that. I'm not talking about the matriarch and the patriarch argument, because it's really not an argument. If you understand history, then it is what it is. If you understand history, then you understand that the false construct of the Piscean age was built under the patriarchal system. That's just what it is. But you don't have to fear turning into a matriarchal system, because the matriarchy is about love. The biggest sin in the spirit is the abuse of power. And that's why everything that's abused this power over the years, including the egos, is dissipating right now. Because where we moving is spiritual. And that's a place of love. Unconditional love. So, in order to be in alignment with the cosmos, the universe, we have to understand that and be okay with that. Mother Earth is love. There's no need to fear that, fellas, because we all possess masculine and feminine energy. That's the universal principle agenda. Now, whether it's balanced or imbalanced is indicative of how you show up in this physical reality. That's what homosexuality is. Whether you're a man or a woman, it's a female with too much masculine energy, or that was exposed or groomed, or was a product of an environment that was mostly masculine. That's how women become overly masculine, being in those situations, and vice versa. That's how men become overly feminine. It's an imbalance, and that's what's happened. Everything is out of balance on the planet right now, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And those that are aware are responsible to bring things back to balance in alignment with the God that is in us. So contrary to everything that we've been taught, we are not separate from God. We have to understand that our purpose in being here is to evolve our souls. So just like we in the rat race and focused on what we could produce and create in this physical reality, we need to put just as much energy into our spirit and our spiritual existence, because that's not separate. As a matter of fact, everything that we see physically was first a manifestation of the spirit. It's filtered through the spirit. Your thought is connected to your spirit, and its physicality through the mind. That's physics. And we have to understand that so we can understand how to govern ourselves. All of this chaos we got and confusion we got going on is because of the spells that we've been under, because we don't understand what we've been subjugated to. So that's what our conversations need to be about, so we can break these spells and take control of our creations, so we can individually create our pieces of heaven on earth, so that some of us can finally get to experience unconditional love. It feels so much better to love. It feels so much better to be in control of our own happiness, our days, our nights, and not be worried and fearful. That's what they need. They need our fear. They need for you to be afraid, because that's how they eat. These energies that's controlling this physical realities are just that. They are energy. They possess people so they can have the physical experience. That's what the buying and the selling of souls is all about. So they can manifest on this in this 3D reality through a physical body. And they need a host to do that. You don't want to host those energies. You want to create. So So let's do that. Let's create heaven on earth. And we do that by understanding the spiritual aspect and merging it with the physical aspect and the mental aspect. It's got to be a balance. And in order to be able to ascend to the fifth dimension, to this higher level of consciousness, to higher states of awareness, to facilitate your creations, because you are God, a direct manifestation of the Creator, you have to have that awareness, that understanding. That's magic. That's your birthright. So we got to get in line. That's why the universal laws are important, because the spiritual laws govern this plane of existence right now as we speak, whether we want to acknowledge them or not. So the physical and the spiritual exist simultaneously, and that's what's been hidden from us, and that's what we have to change, so it's no longer a secret. We have to master ourselves. Everything that we seek is about peace and love, and that is not outside of us. We are direct manifestations of everything that God is. Therefore I am, so I am. So to that I say, greetings, gods and goddesses. Welcome to the Arose from Rubble podcast. The goal is to know thyself. That's what self-actualization is. That's what reaching your fullest potential is. Understand that, and understand what metaphysics. It's just respect for everything that's beautiful, all of God's creation, and the nature of existence. And it has no boundaries. That's the difference between metaphysics and spirituality versus religion. There's no boundaries. It's not a specific dogma. You have an innate moral compass. You don't need a book that other men wrote to tell you what's, for lack of better words, right or wrong per se. That should register with your spirit. I created Arose from Rubble as an extension of myself and my journey towards self-mastery. And I would like for you guys to join me on that journey so we can grow and glow together as a light in this dark world until it becomes enlightened. This podcast not only describes my personal story, but my spiritual journey, like literally and figuratively. And like I said, it's a movement. It's not just a podcast, it's a movement that has a podcast. But we are all roses. And we need to facilitate the paradigm shift. And I know that's kind of mainstream, the whole concept of paradigm shift, but it just means taking the old and turning it to something new. I also plan to integrate the law of correspondence concept of as above, so below as a segment within the podcast. So that'll just be when I come on. Maybe we could have some live discussions about things that are mainstream and break them down with our spiritual eye. Break whatever happened down in this physical reality or in this 3D experience or in this matrix. We're going to break it down from the spirit so we can start exercising our spiritual eye, and that'll help us see through the veil. I mean, it's lifting, whether you can't disagree with that at this point, with everything that's coming out with all these systems, everything that's being exposed. It's not really a way to disagree unless you're just totally blind. And I doubt that. And I'm not here to judge it. I'm just here to facilitate change. Thank you guys for listening, and I look forward to future episodes. If you have any questions or any ideas, then feel free to email me at dia@arosefromrubble.com. I love you guys. Peace. Thanks for listening to the Arose from Rubble podcast. As a disclaimer, I am not a licensed therapist, counselor, psychologist, or psychiatrist. I'm a student of metaphysics and occult knowledge who is bona fide in life, relationship, and self-actualization. If you would like your questions addressed live or in private, or perhaps you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the show, feel free to email me at dia@arosefromrubble.com. That's DEA@arosefromrubble.com. Also, subscribe on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and Instagram at Arose from Rubble. And again, thanks for listening. That's it.